Hello everyone, my name is Kiefer, and last week, Charlie Kirk's assassination, it has weighed heavily on my heart and on my mind. It's likely something that I'm not going to get over for a while. Once upon a time, I thought about making political videos here on YouTube, and I would spend days of my life writing scripts for a video that I didn't wind up recording. In fact, the little voice in the back of your head that tells you that, you're gonna fail, you suck, your voice isn't unique enough, whatever. That's what I went through. And this happened every time. Every time I thought about making a video, no. What you have to say isn't important. What's the point in trying? Well, here I am now, making a video. Not because I feel like I want to, but because I feel like I have to. Let me be clear. I'm not trying to become a YouTuber. I'm not trying to be the next Charlie Kirk. I don't even know how many people are going to see this video. In the end, I felt like I couldn't sit here while things happened around me anymore. I mean, if I post this and 3 million people see it, fantastic. If I post this and 3 people and all 3 of them are my mom see it, fine. Really, more than anything, this is me saying what's been on my chest, in my heart, for a really long time. Something I have not been able to say in front of friends and even family members. And it kind of feels like I'm making this video far later than I should have. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm speaking up, even if I'm a little late. A little over a week ago, Charlie Kirk, father, husband, Christian, CEO of a very successful political activism group, was shot and killed while at a speaking engagement in Utah. And if that wasn't awful enough, what happened in the following days is something that shook me to my core. I've been truly disgusted for over a week. In fact, I threw up once this morning. But if I'm feeling this way, I know that I'm not alone. I'm sure many of you out there are feeling the same. So the video that I am making today are for the people out there that are considering or actively leaving the Democrat Party. Now, I will fully admit that I'm a Trump supporter and have been since 2020. But don't think that I'm making this video as a conservative. I'm not here to try to pull you into becoming some MAGA hat wearing person. I believe that in the coming weeks and months ahead, that there is going to be a mass exodus from the Democrat Party. And I believe that Charlie Kirk's assassination is going to be the start of that exodus. So my goal here today is to be a sort of safety net, a soft place for you to land. And you might be asking, well, why? It's a good question. Well, I went through something similar. Not entirely similar, but similar enough. Enough to know that this kind of shift is just awful. It's a horrible, dark, depressing thing to have to go through. I was horribly depressed, and I felt completely alone. So, if you want to join the Republican Party, great. You'll be welcomed, and you'd be truly surprised how many of us are not actually Republicans. But if you don't, that's also fine. You can join a third party. You can start a third party. But what I really hope, what I think is the best move forward, is for people to stay and fix the Democrat Party. Now, when I say fix, you might be thinking, oh, you're a Trump supporter, so what you're going to say next is get rid of the woke stuff. No. I'll explain more what I think would help fix and revitalize the Democrat Party. Because I believe that no one party should have a monopoly on the way that the country's going. I believe that there needs to be a strong and equal force that goes against that party so that only the best ideas float to the surface, ones that benefit all of us. So that's why I'm here today. My vow to you is to try and keep things respectful, kind, not preachy, not condescending, but just conversation. And I'll admit, I'm still very close to this situation. And I might fail at all of the things I just said. I might fail in this video. If that happens, I pray your forgiveness, and I hope that we can continue on. This all feels different somehow. All across the internet, I'm seeing the same sentiment said over and over. I don't know why I feel this way. And I'm not seeing any explanation as to why. When Trump got shot, and I was sure that was it, he's dead, I didn't feel like this. And maybe you're thinking, oh, you must be some huge Charlie Kirk fan. No, not really. I believe what it comes down to is the fact that Charlie Kirk was not a politician. He was not a celebrity. He was just some guy. In another life, that could have been so many of my friends. In another life, that could have been me. And that's not something that you can just recover from. And on that day, myself and millions of other people discovered that our own countrymen, our friends, and even family members not only think that we deserve death, but they would actively cheer at the news. And like, how do you go from there? Like, what do you do? When half of the country would justify your death. I don't think Democrats have fully grasped how huge this is. I honestly believe that this is bigger than if Trump had fallen. I think this is bigger. I mean, I'm seeing stuff online that are like, he was just a podcaster, get over it. That's the point. He was just a podcaster. Someone who is not in control of anyone's life. He's just some guy. And if some guy can just be killed unceremoniously like that, then that, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm too close to this. I mean, it's been almost 2 weeks at this point. And one of the first things that enters my mind when I wake up, and one of the last things before I go to bed, is that damn video. I didn't even want to see it. It just happened. I saw it. And I cannot scrub that from my mind. Just every day the same. I wake up and I see a man's arteries empty all over his stage, in front of his wife, in front of his children, in front of thousands of people that loved and supported him. I can't shake the video I've seen of Charlie's daughter, Gigi. After an interview at Fox, she rushes up to him and gives him just the biggest hug. And the look of joy on Charlie's face and everyone around. I can't get the image of Erica Kirk, his wife, speaking in front of thousands of people, holding the cross that Charlie always wore. And somehow forgiving this guy. In a similar situation, I don't think I could do that. I wouldn't even be able to lie and fake and say, I forgive you, but secretly in my heart, I don't. I couldn't do it. And those are just always kicking around up here, day in, day out. I hope that this video honors the legacy of Charlie Kirk. In some small way. I hope that people, as cliche as it sounds, wake up, really listen to their hearts. So, just a little bit about me. Up until about 2020, I considered myself a libertarian. Socially liberal and fiscally conservative was the line, and I mean, it's still true for me. But where I kind of parted ways with the LP was every single time libertarians were featured in anything, it was always marijuana or gun rights and losing elections. That was literally all the LP could ever talk about or do. And here's the thing. Those two things, they're not on my priority list at all. So I was already on my way out. I switched from voting libertarian to Trump in 2020, and 100% of the driving force behind that decision was not me getting radicalized on Joe Rogan. 100% of that driving force was because of Democrats. I got sick of the blatant lies told about Trump. I got sick of the lies about me and the other people in my party. I got sick of the labels. I got sick of people looking at me and assuming they know everything about me. I was done with it all. So my vote for Trump was more or less a protest vote, a big middle finger to the DNC, as it were. Now, when I say blatant lies told about Trump, I don't mean something like, if you look at this quote this particular way and have this sort of perspective, then this is what he said. I'm talking about verifiably false things said about him. He said that Nazis were very fine people. That was actually the moment that I decided that I was through with it and voted for Trump. Because that's not what he said. There was also the lies that he never condemned white supremacy. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Verifiably false. It made me wonder, if Trump is so bad, if Republicans are so bad, why do you need to lie about them? Shouldn't their horrible words and actions sink them? The same things now are being said about Charlie Kirk. Now, as I mentioned before, I wasn't a huge Charlie Kirk fan, but occasionally I would see his videos on Facebook and on my YouTube algorithm. And occasionally I found something there that was good. But the truth of the matter is, I hate the concept of debate. Despise it, actually. It's almost completely pointless. For an actual debate, it requires that both parties coming into this share mutual respect and a passion for finding out the truth. In other words, these two disparate parties are on the same team. Is that what debates do now? Is that something debates have ever been about? No. It's about dunking on your opponent, and then later on, everyone on your side cheers about how good you did and how you just destroyed the other guy while they're doing the exact same thing. Nothing changes. Nothing happens. The goal of debate is to destroy the other person, not some kind of search for the truth. And so that's why I've been not a huge fan of Charlie Kirk. But now that Charlie's gone, I've been watching a lot more of his videos. Not the ones that they shared on Reels or YouTube Shorts or any of those things, but like some of his actual full conversations with people. I still find the videos where some hostile person comes up and before Charlie has even said hello, this person's shouting him down. And then Charlie stands up and matches their energy. Still don't care for that. But as I started watching more and more videos, I started to see the heart behind it all. I started to see people that came up and genuinely was curious to hear what he had to say. And his response, which would be something kind, loving even if the person standing before him was someone that went against everything he believed in. The one that comes to mind the most, and if this was one I happened upon the other day, but a trans individual came up and was asking him questions about what age do you think that trans kids should get HRT? And Charlie thought for a moment and then responded.
So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm going to have an opinion that very few people will ever tell you, which is I want you to be very cautious putting drugs into your system in the pursuit of changing your body. Mm-hmm. I instead encourage you to work on what's going on in your brain first. I think what you need first and foremost is just a diagnosis. Mm-hmm. Just someone that is going to listen to what you've gone through, listen to what else is going on. My prayer for you, and again, very few people will say this, I actually want to see you be comfortable in how you were born.
Yeah.
I know that you might not feel that way, but I think that is something that you can achieve. I think that with the right team and the right people, you don't have to wage war on your body. You can learn to love your body.
Now, you can completely disagree with what he said. That's fine. But I'm not seeing the hate. What I saw time and time again was that Charlie Kirk never gave up on anyone. And like thinking about it now, that's one of the most beautiful things I think you can say about anyone. They never gave up on people. Life got tough, life got hard, horrible things happened, but this person never gave up on people. Let me tell you, this last week, that's all I wanted to do, is give up on people, give up on humanity. Do you know how much peace I would have in my life right now if I just blocked everyone on Facebook that didn't agree with me? I thought about it. I really, really did. And I stopped because I started thinking about Charlie. If I banned everyone from my Facebook that cheered on the death of Charlie Kirk, I would be closing a door. And that's not what Charlie would do. Charlie, no matter what you feel about him, he always stood by the door and welcomed you in. And so that's what I'm going to do. And now, as I'm watching more and more of his videos, I can confidently say that I am 100% a much bigger Charlie fan than I was before. And if that's happening to me, imagine the millions out there that are going through the same thing. Now, I want to take a moment to address a question I'm seeing a lot online. It's, how did we get here? And I believe that's at the heart of this entire situation. How did we get here? I believe this all starts at the Obama administration. In the early days of the administration and a little bit before that, Democrats found their secret weapon. That silver bullet was just one word. And that's the word racist. You just throw out, "You're a racist," and Republicans didn't have any kind of recourse, any kind of strategy to combat that kind of thinking. Were there people that were racist? Were there people that said racist things about Obama? 100%. Yes. But what wound up happening is everyone that criticized Obama in any way, shape, or form, it wasn't about the ideas. It wasn't about, well, I have a good backing for why I feel this way. It was just painted over as, yep, just another racist. But then the Democrats started adding to that list. Suddenly, it wasn't just racist, it was sexist, homophobic, Islamophobic, transphobic. But it still didn't stop there. Then it moved on to much more incendiary comments, such as, "You're a fascist, you're a Nazi, you're a threat to democracy." And yet it's still building. We're still doing this. And to be clear, Republicans are starting to pick up on it too. And now the Republicans are doing the same thing back at you guys. And where does that leave us? But this has been every Republican's life, pretty much 20 years. 20 years Republicans have begged and pleaded for Democrats to soften the tone, soften the language, and Democrats go out and say, "Hey, we need to tone down the temperature." And then 2 days later, it's back to the same strategy of just painting everyone that you don't like as Hitler. To kind of visualize this, maybe this will make a little bit more sense, maybe it won't, forgive me if it doesn't. But let's think about the trans community, right? So right now, the trans community is being labeled as perverts, predators, mass shooters. I mean, do I really need to go on? We're all familiar with everything being said about the trans community. Now, what I want you to imagine is all of this rhetoric being used over and over and over for 20 years. Think about the year 2045, 20 years from this point now, and this kind of language is still being used for the trans community. What is going to happen to the trans community? Like, what is going to be done to them because of this word, of these words? And what is the trans community going to do in response? The same applies to any group of people. That's the problem, is we're painting other people as something they aren't. And we're stating it as fact. Regardless of what party it is, regardless of what group it is, it all needs to stop. And I don't mean everyone puts out a nice little tweet and says, we need to tone down the rhetoric. It needs to just happen. I don't care what Democrats say. Like, you can say, let's tone down the temperature, and Republicans can say, let's tone down the temperature. But it doesn't matter if that's all it is. And this kind of rhetoric is turning us into a people entirely fueled by hatred of someone else. And it just turns the other side into some nameless, faceless Nazi who wants to destroy me and everything I hold dear. Suddenly becomes a lot easier to kill that person, doesn't it? They're not even human. I mean, after all, who cries for a Nazi? Simultaneously, the group being labeled eventually reaches their limit and decides to fight back. Fortunately, I have not seen any kind of retribution since Charlie's passing, and I pray it stays that way. Now, earlier I had mentioned that I hope that you stay in the Democrat Party and help fix it. And again, my solution of fixing it is not just getting rid of woke stuff. If that's what you believe, I'm not going to fault you for believing those things. But when I say fix the Democrat Party, I just mean getting rid of the labels, getting rid of changing fundamentally how we see every single person in this country. Scrub that from our culture, and I'm not being flippant or sarcastic in any way when I say this. The country becomes a better place overnight. I like to think of everything that I say or do as a series, a line of dominoes. And I like to think of them as, the small domino, the slightly larger domino, and so on and so forth, until you've got a domino the size of a Prius. And I like to think that everything I say or do is that row of dominoes. There's infinite rows of dominoes going all which ways. But you tip one of those over, it hits the next one, which then hits the next one, and then eventually knocks down the Prius-sized domino. And that big domino, that can be something great, but it could also be something terrible. And labeling your opponent as sexist, racist, misogynist, blah, 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 all of those things are their own domino. You tip over the racist domino, hits the next one, hits the next one. What is at the end of that line? Does the other person suddenly, I realized where I was wrong, and go back? No. If anything, you have successfully pushed them away forever. And something else that's been really bugging me since this event is there's a lot of finger pointing. The right's pointing at the left's pointing at the right. Okay. Why does it matter? Legitimately, why does it matter? Why are we sitting here pointing fingers, competing on who's the biggest asshole of the year? Why does it matter? The fact of the matter is, it is happening. It's happening there, it's happening there. And it all needs to stop. We cannot keep going on like this. But instead of like focusing on how we get rid of the political violence, we're arguing about who's in control of more of it. Like, that's stupid, right? How about this? Okay, I am a Republican, and I am saying definitively that Republicans are responsible for 75% of all political violence. I'll admit to it. I'll own up to it. Now, can we talk about how y'all talk about us? Can we talk about the concerns that we've raised time and time again, only to get tweets saying, let's tone down the temperature, only to double back on it a day later? So my personal thoughts on why Charlie Kirk is dead, it comes down to 3 phrases shouted endlessly over and over and over again. And that is how Charlie Kirk not only died, but how people justified it afterwards. Those 3 phrases: you're a fascist, you're a threat to democracy, and finally, and I think this one's probably the most deeply concerning, and that is, words are violence. Those 3 sentences said again and again and again is all it takes. And now it's become almost your duty to save this country. You have to put down these fascists. At that point, it's not even murder, it's self-defense, right? No. It's wrong. Period. Because violence is wrong. It's literally one of the first things we ever learn as children. Don't hurt people. Now, I want to take a moment to address some things. We have all been led to believe that our opponents are inhuman, despicable, demonic, whatever. Since his death, there have been a lot of quotes that have been circulating around the internet, and I'll be fair here and say that they are misleading. For example, there's a popular one going around that says, I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that it does a lot of damage. Now, that quote was said by Charlie Kirk, for sure. Not denying it. However, what they conveniently leave out is what he said after.
Stand the word empathy. Actually, I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage, but it is very effective when it comes to politics. Sympathy I prefer more than empathy. That's a separate topic for a different time.
What he says in another video is he says that by claiming empathy, feeling exactly what you're feeling, that it allows for me to justify condoning your bad habits. Which, I'm going to be real, I still don't fully understand. But again, that's not what the point of that quote was. In another place, let's see, there was another quote that went around that said, I think it's worth it to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. Once again, Charlie did say that, but what he said before that recontextualizes, I think, the entire quote. What he said before that.
Having an armed citizenry comes with a price. And that is part of liberty. Driving comes with a price. 50,000 people die on the road every year. That's a price. You get rid of driving, you'd have 50,000 less auto fatalities. But we have decided that the benefit of driving, speed, accessibility, mobility, having products, services, is worth the cost of 50,000 people dying on the road. Wow. So we need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to zero. It will not happen. Right. You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home, yes, by having more armed guards in front of schools. Yes. We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence, but we should not have a utopian one. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. Wow. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
So even with the full context, you might still disagree with what Charlie said. You might even hate those quotes, even with the full context. That's totally fine. The point that I'm trying to make here is that even if you got the full context of those quotes and you still find them abhorrent, that doesn't mean he deserved to die. And the fact that I feel like I have to say this is I don't even know what to say. Like that is so beyond the realm of my understanding that I don't have words. And you've got liberal streamers Destiny and Hassan Piker calling for
kill those motherfuckers and murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods, dude.
You need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events so that they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature. The issue is right now, they don't feel like there's any fear. Like, I don't know. It's like memes. It's just memes to everybody, I guess. I don't know, bro.
Both of those are from liberal streamers, and I don't think either of them deserve to die. I think they're horrible people, some of the worst, but I don't think they deserve to die for saying that. And some of that might actually be illegal. I'm not sure. But right now, Democrats are doing everything in their power to convince you that Charlie somehow deserved this. Let's go through kind of how things evolved from the moment Charlie was shot to where we are today. First, he was shot. Members of the Democrat Party danced and cheered. Then they shared those out of context clips. But people are coming out of the woodworks to lie about this guy for seemingly no real reason other than pure hatred. But after all of those quotes and videos and all of that stuff didn't work, they then claimed that the shooter was a Trump supporter because he came from a conservative family. How many of you are the same political party as your parents? Then that didn't work. Then we started playing the what about game with Josh Shapiro and Marissa Horman. But once again, not accepting any kind of responsibility for the way that they've tarred and feathered this guy before all of this happened. And let me ask you, How many Democrats that are posting, well, if you didn't post about these people, then you have no right to talk about political violence. How many of those people posted about it? How many of you even heard about those situations? I didn't. How many of you even noticed that I butchered her name? I said Marissa Horman. Her name was Melissa Hortman. How many of you noticed? For real. Because I would imagine not a lot. Because we just didn't hear about it. And so we're just going to use that as a cudgel now to beat the other side who is in mourning. So let's see, what else? And then, oh yeah, now that the memorial service for Charlie is over, there's everyone talking about how it wasn't a memorial, it was a white supremacist rally. Now, I watched all 8 to 9 hours of that memorial service, and I can tell you definitively it was not a white supremacist rally. In fact, there was about 4 hours of that stream that was entirely worship. Because really, the whole theme of the memorial service wasn't, look what they did to my boy, and more, yes, this is rough, this is hard, but have hope. Come to Jesus. That was a major theme. But you know, something that I find extremely interesting is that during that 4-hour worship, right, Charlie Kirk's name was mentioned, I think, like 4 times. That's it. That's half the broadcast, and Charlie's name is mentioned 4 times. God was really the central focus of pretty much the entire memorial service, even when it came to the speakers, almost every single one of them, including some people that I'm like, are you really the person that should be saying this? But that was really the focus. It wasn't Charlie, it wasn't Trump, it wasn't even the GOP or his alleged killer. It wasn't any of that. And it was truly one of the most uplifting things I have ever watched. I want to go back to a world that, frankly, most of you have never seen. You might have heard it talked about before, but it's almost become an urban legend at this point. You see, Republicans used to look at Democrats and go, ooh, they're a little crazy, but I understand that their heart is in the right place. And Democrats thought the same about us. It might sound like complete make-believe, but that was the reality. At that time, nothing else really mattered. We still came together because we're brothers, sisters, members of the American family. Might be hard to believe, but it was real. And it wasn't even that long ago. And it's not something that's necessarily gone either. It all starts with us. You, me, everyone you know. It starts with us and how we see each other. It's like we've got these chains wrapped around our ankles that are pulling us underwater, pulling us away from each other. And these are the labels that we prescribe to the perceived other side. And the other side will do the same for you. But here's the thing. The chains around our ankles, they're not locked. You can, at any point, take them off and swim to the surface. That's what we all need to be doing. Instead of pointing fingers at, well, your side's more violent, no, your side's more violent, it doesn't matter. All of the violence needs to stop. All of the labeling and name calling, all of it needs to stop. Now, there's one more person I want to talk about. And this person has been truly influential to my life and my beliefs. It's why, in a lot of ways, I'm making this video right now. His name is Daryl Davis. Now, you might be asking, what's his deal? Well, you see, what he is most well known for, if it's not, then it should be, is he went and befriended members of the KKK. Now, this guy is black. These people actively hate him. But he didn't firebomb their, I don't know, what do they have, temples? He didn't threaten them. He didn't yell at them. He broke bread and made friends with them. And because of the work that he did, over 200 members hung up their stupid robes and are now living much better lives, I assume. And how much more effective of a society would we be if we did that? If you think Trump supporters are all Nazis, are all fascists, are all this, that, and the other, why not be more like him? Why not go and talk to them, figure out why it is that they believe these things that you find problematic? And the same goes for my side. If we think that this is problematic, then we should be able to come together and talk it out. I mean, really, that's all Charlie Kirk did. At the top of this video, I had said that my goal here is to be a safety net, not to try and evangelize and convert you, and that much is still true. But when things that you believe are suddenly turned on its head, when things that you thought were true are suddenly false, the ensuing feelings that you have are awful. It's a pit in the bottom of your stomach that doesn't go away, at least not initially. And I know this from my own experience. Now, let me be clear. I went from libertarian to Republican. That's not a big jump. In fact, I really used libertarianism as a sort of shield that protected me from Republicans and Democrats alike. Whenever Republicans were making fun of Democrats, I was protected because I'm not them. And when Democrats are making fun of Republicans, once again, I was out of the line of fire because, well, I'm not a Republican. But when I made that jump, it felt awful. I every day felt physically ill for a solid 3 to 5 months, I guess. And I was depressed. I felt alone. I didn't know who I could talk to. Hell, I didn't even tell my wife for a long time because I didn't know how she'd react. I don't know what her algorithm looks like. I don't know what her thoughts on Trump are. Well, I mean, I do now, but it was hard. It was very, very hard. And at the time, I was living in Austin, Texas, which, if you know anything about Austin, Texas, it's about as liberal as you can get. And everyone I worked with, everyone I knew, all liberal. I even worked at a university in San Marcos, Texas, where a history professor got up and said, well, if you voted for Trump, that's fine. However, I want you to know that the rhetoric that he uses is the exact same language that the KKK used. That is what I was inundated with every single day. And so I hid. I mean, what else could I do? Was I going to speak up for my beliefs and burn down my entire life? I mean, I love politics and I love the philosophy behind them, but I've got a family to take care of. I will absolutely compromise my beliefs if it means that my family continues on and is healthy and happy. So no matter where you go from this video, I want you to know that you are loved, and whether you join us or don't, or do a third-party thing, it doesn't matter. I welcome you, and I love you all. I want to leave you with a thought that I had not long after Charlie died. If you hated Charlie Kirk, if you hate everything he said, everything he stood for, everything he did, then go out and make this world a place where Charlie Kirk isn't needed. You see, Charlie would not have been sitting at that table if we weren't shutting each other down, if we were disagreeing respectfully and having these conversations with each other, if we listened instead of looking for our next plan of attack. And I want you to think about this. Which is more likely, that there is a cadre of people out there, over half of this country, that are racist, fascist bigots, or there's a few hundred people who are doing everything in their power to make you hate them? Now I want to invite you all out there who are disillusioned. Maybe you are leaving the Democrats or thinking about leaving the Democrats, or you just have some doubts. Share your story in the comments section. Just because you express doubts or whatever, that doesn't mean that you're betraying your party. In fact, it's healthy. If you aren't thinking on occasion, are we the bad guys? Then chances are you're stuck in an echo chamber. Meet us where we are, and we'll meet you where you are. It's the way it used to be, and it's the way that it should be. Now, I will try and respond to everyone I can in the comments, but if you're someone who went through a similar journey in the past, also share your story. Help the others that are going through it now. And if you're a lifelong Republican, still welcome, encourage, help them, welcome them, even if they never join our side. And if you're just looking for something kind of positive in the wake of all of this, I highly recommend you watch a video from Amala Ekpanobi. I will post it somewhere. Maybe, I don't know how this works, so it'll either be in the description or comments. But Amala is a former Black Lives Matter, Antifa, liberal, I don't know. Those are the words she uses to describe herself, but that's what she used to be. But then she started seeing a lot of the things that a lot of us have seen, and she made the shift. But in a video that is very similar to the one I'm making right now, she talks about leaving the left. And while her video is amazing, I love Amala so much, she's fantastic, the best part of the video wasn't the video itself. It was actually the comments section. And honestly, when was the last time you heard that? But if you go to the comment section on that video, it's just a wall of people that are talking about their experience, how they left the left. And it's beautiful. It really, really is. And I'm not saying that because my side is getting more people. That's not it at all. It's just, I don't know. I guess it's the fact that amidst all of the garbage takes out there, there were still people that are like, this isn't right. But it all has to end. We can't keep going like this, obviously. And it all starts with how we see our brother, how we see our sister, how we see the people around us. It starts with us and demanding that our leadership does the same. Because at the end of the day, the only label that really matters is human.